I'm Coach Erin. I am the founder of EM Health and Wellness. And yeah, every Thursday I go live with all kinds of things. And today is a really fun one because I'll just let you know what I've been doing this week. So I've been watching webinars and trainings all week on sort of the science of health and all this stuff, and learning lots of new cool stuff and getting really excited and pumped for tons of new things. So that's one of the things I've been doing this week. Listened to a webinar earlier in the week that was really exciting for me because I'm 47 years old and the wrinkles that are starting to appear on my face are upsetting to me. And I honestly think I look pretty good for my age, but things are starting to change and I'm like, I don't want to change, but that's the way it goes, right? There was a webinar on anti-aging, and some of it I already knew, some of it I didn't know, but either way, it was super duper exciting. And yeah, just really loved the information that I learned. So I want to share that with all of you ladies today. So that's what I'm going to do. The reason that we're going to talk about anti-aging, or how you can actually reverse your aging, if you are doing things to reverse aging or to hack the aging process, you are just automatically doing things that are going to lead to weight loss. You are automatically doing things that are going to be making you healthier. So this really is for everyone. Like if you're doing these things, you're going to gain your energy. And I talked to so many of you, and what you all want at the end of the day is to feel good about yourselves again. You want to wake up in the morning. You want to feel excited for the day. You want to feel confident. You want to be able to go out in the world and feel comfortable in your clothes. You want to feel comfortable with your husbands. You want to feel like you just want to feel better about yourself. So this is what this is about that, okay? Because if you do the things that we talk about in the live today, you're going to lose the weight. You're going to regain the energy. You might even get rid of some wrinkles, and you're going to be healthier for longer. So let's go ahead and dive in, and I can tell you what I'm talking about a little bit more. So a couple terms I want to start off by mentioning. So the first term I want to mention today is something called biological age, or biological aging. So there's our age in numbers. Like I said, I'm 47, almost 48. Oh my God. And so that's the number of years you've been on the planet in this lifetime, depending on your belief system. But biological aging is how fast our bodies are aging. And this is something we actually have control over. So I had a test done a few years ago, and I was about 5 years younger than my actual age. So I think at the time I was 45. Oh, I think I was only 3 years younger. And I think my biological age was 42. Hopefully, if I did the test today, it would be better. That's what I'm working towards. But yeah, so you can actually slow down the biological aging process. So that's the first term I wanted to let you know about. The second term I wanted to talk about is health span. So health span versus lifespan. So lifespan is, once again, how long you live for, and health span is how long you're healthy for. So an interesting statistic about this is you probably know our lifespans over the last many generations have been expanding. So humans used to live, 100 years ago to like 50. And now we live, I think the average in North America is between 80 and 82, depending on your sex and where you live and stuff, right? So our lifespan, or how long the average human lives for, has gotten longer. Health span is how long you're in good health for. So the interesting fact is that our health span is actually shrinking. So how long we are healthy for in North America is a number that is shrinking. Our lifespan is moving upwards. We're living for longer. It's kind of plateaued now, but our health span is shrinking. So we're healthier for shorter and shorter periods of time. The curve used to be like you'd kind of be healthy. It would be kind of this flat line, healthy until you were, 45, let's say, and then there'd be a quick steep decline in your health, and then you die. Now it looks like this. It's kind of flat, and then at a very young age, depending on sex and where you're looking, it starts to slowly decline like this, and then you decline for a long time until you die. So basically, you're healthy till you're 30, and then your health starts to decline. And really, like, depending on regions that you look at, but I think it's like around 45. Like, that's halfway through your life, and then your health starts to decline. That sucks. That sounds awful, but it doesn't have to be that way. And this is the cool thing. And this is what the new science coming out is telling us. So this doesn't have to be this way, and we need to change it. We need to, like, turn this ship around. We are going to do that. We're going to turn that ship around. We're going to increase our health spans. We're going to lose the weight. We're going to get healthy. It's going to be fantastic. That's why we're here, right? So how to improve your health span, because you can. Okay. And this is what I mean by reverse aging. And if you want to, you can just Google it. There's labs, you can go and get tests that give you your biological age. There's different biomarkers they use to determine this. It's actually can be quite motivating if you see the number. If you're 50 and you get that number back that your biological age is 65, darn tootin', it's going to motivate you to start living a different life, because you can reverse that biological age. You can turn it around. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, before I get into the nitty-gritty of that, I just also would like to point out that aging is actually, and by aging, I mean biological aging. Aging is the biggest risk factor for all disease. So heart disease, strokes, dementia, diabetes, any disease that's going to kill you in the end, all disease, the biggest risk factor is actually aging. So lung cancer, this is a good example, because everyone's like, oh, the biggest risk factor is being a smoker. Not true. The biggest risk factor for lung disease of any sort is actually aging. Aging is the biggest risk factor for all disease. So just keep that in your mind. If you want to be healthy, if you want to avoid these diseases, you have to live a life that decreases the biological age you're at, or if you're in a good place already, you want that biological age to decrease really slowly. So by delaying biological aging by just 7 years, you can cut chronic disease in half. I'm going to say it again. By delaying biological aging by just 7 years, which is actually not that hard to do, you can cut chronic disease in half. At the end of the day, what I really want for all of you is for you to find a way to live a healthy lifestyle that is sustainable. You'll feel great about yourself, but potentially you'll also cut your risk of chronic disease in half. Like, that gives me goosebumps. If I can help you guys cut your chance of dying of a stroke at age 65 or 70, if I can cut that in half or even greater for some of you, then, like, yeah, hells yeah, I want to do that. Okay. See, I get really excited about it. Okay. There's lots of quick fixes for lots of problems, but at the end of the day, how you live your life, your lifestyle is so impactful in terms of disease and your quality of life. Okay. So it's super important. It's all I can say. It's super important, and you shouldn't ever stop trying to live your best life, because you deserve it. One more term that I want to share with you, and it's called epigenetics. Some of you may have heard of it. So we kind of all know what genetics is. We're born with the genes that we have in our body, and, you know, we can easily blame things on those genes, good and bad, right? You know, look at this great hair I have. It's totally from my dad. Or if I don't like how my bum looks, but it's my mom's fault. We can always blame the things that we like and don't like about ourselves on our genetics, which is true to a certain extent. But epigenetics is the study of how we can turn gene expression off and on with lifestyle. Okay. And this is actually a thing that we can do. We can turn our genetics off and on with how we live our lives. So let's get into what you can do, how you can live your life to essentially reverse aging. Because there's a lot you can do, and a lot of it's not actually that hard. Okay. So in no particular order of importance, because they are all very important, I'm going to go through a list of things that you can do. And you guessed it, because I talk about it all the time, diet. So what you eat greatly impacts your genetics and greatly impacts your biological age. So what do you want to do? You want to make sure you're getting lots of brightly colored fruits and vegetables. These have lots of phytonutrients in them. Lots of brightly colored fruits and vegetables, diet high in fiber because gut health is really important for healthy aging, proper protein intake, healthy fats. You want to avoid like the deep fried foods. Those are poison. And sugar. You want to avoid the sugar as much as possible. The less sugar that you can eat, the better. This will help with your biological age. This will help you lose weight. If you have arthritis, you should not be eating sugar. Anything that is a disease of inflammation, which most diseases, arguably all diseases are, you need to cut down on the sugar. Basically, eat your fruits and vegetables, eat healthy starches and carbohydrates, get enough protein, avoid sugars, avoid deep fried foods, and you totally got this. Shop in the outside ring of the grocery store. The less processed the food, the better, okay? I'm just gonna quickly go over a super cool study. So this was a study actually done in World War II. There was a town that was completely cut off, had their food supply cut off by the German army, and it's cold, so growing season short, there's not like coconut palms. So they basically had no food, and the residents of this town were living on 500 calories or less per day, which is awful. They're starving, basically. The study was the babies born during that time period, so when they were in utero during this period of starvation, were born with different genetics. So they were born with, it's called a thrifty gene type. Basically, they were genetically programmed to hang on to every calorie that their body got. Their genes actually changed because their mothers didn't have enough food. Their genes changed so that everything they ate, their bodies just held on to those calories, like they were never going to get another calorie again, okay? But then, of course, when normal food levels became available again, these people had serious issues of overweight, obesity, high rates of diabetes, like all the things that go along with sort of diseases of weight, we'll call it, right? And they had a really hard time not being overweight because their gene expression had literally changed because of their mother's diet. But the interesting thing is that despite food levels returning to normal, the genetics stayed that way for 3 generations. So 3 generations of people past the women who first gave birth to these children had these thrifty gene types, right? So this is another thing to think of that's interesting, is how you live your life turns often on your genes. It turns often on the genes of your offspring. You're also teaching your kids and your husband and your parents, like, we are so influencing one another all of the time that how you're living your life is influencing the people in your life, and it's changing their gene expression. We call it generational health, right? This is beyond just you. And I like this study because for those of you who have been stuck in that sort of diet culture of starving myself and going back and starving myself and going back, you potentially literally are changing your gene expression every time you starve yourself. You are teaching your body to hold on to calories. This is not what we want to do. So if you are stuck in one of those cycles right now, we absolutely need to get you out of this cycle. It's so detrimental to your health. If you need help with that, just type down below in the comments, type Coach Erin. But yeah, I will reach out and we can talk about working on that. So anyway, that was just a really cool study that was done around diet and how it impacts our gene expression. So how you eat impacts your biological age and therefore impacts your weight, okay? They are one and the same in this talk, okay? Another one, huge influence on gene expression, therefore biological aging, therefore things like weight, is sleep. So if you are not sleeping well, you are biologically aging yourself. If you are not sleeping well, you're going to have a hard time controlling sugar cravings. You're also going to have a hard time controlling blood sugar levels. It makes it harder for your body. If you're not sleeping well, you actually potentially are changing the genes that impact your circadian rhythm. We don't want to do this. You're impacting gene expression in your central nervous system, right? So sleep is so important. Some of us have a hard time with sleeping because of specific issues. Some of us have a hard time sleeping because we're addicted to cell phones and social media. Whatever it is, there are ways around it and you need to work on it. If you are not sleeping well, We need to get you sleeping well. The circadian rhythm is tied in with things like cortisol and adrenaline. You actually need cortisol in your body. It's important. Too much of it makes things haywire. It makes you gain weight. It makes you a crazy person. But your cortisol levels are actually supposed to go up in the morning. This gets you out of bed. This gets you ready for the day. You have some ups and downs throughout the day. This is totally natural and normal. And then your cortisol levels are supposed to drop in the evening. This is all part of your circadian rhythm. Other things happen with your circadian rhythm, but it happens through gene expression. So when we're not sleeping, this messes with our circadian rhythm genes. Okay, another thing, alcohol. Super, super negative impact on gene expression. I know, but you love your glass of wine. I get it. So do I. So alcohol inhibits regulation of gene expression. So your genes are constantly in a place where they could be turned off or they could be turned on. And our body is sort of naturally regulates that. So alcohol shuts down the body's ability to regulate that gene expression. It also inhibits enzymes that are needed for methylation. And this is too big to get into in this live. But basically, methylation is a good thing. You want it to happen. You need enzymes for that to happen. Alcohol inhibits the enzymes, okay? Methylation that's going on, the faster you age. I guess that would be a oversimplified way of stating it, but good enough. Therefore, alcohol really accelerates the aging process. And we probably all have someone in our lives that we can say that this may be true of. They perhaps like to overindulge regularly, and they tend to look a little bit older than they actually are. And that's because they're biologically older than they actually are. So cut down on the alcohol, cut it out entirely if you want to. I personally still enjoy the odd glass of wine. It's a lovely social thing to do with friends. I love the way it tastes. I also have a bit of a thing for tequila. So, I'm not saying like go become a nun, but I'm saying maybe get curious around how much alcohol you're consuming and could it be less? So alcohol is a big one. Stress. This one might be the most important. Stress is like pouring gasoline on the aging fire, right? So every time you're like in periods of high stress in your life, it's like you're pouring a jerry can of gasoline on the fire. It's like a big roaring fire of aging. Stress is such a tricky one though, right? Because there's so many things in our life where we feel like we don't have control over that stress because there's outside things happening that influence us. This is called situational stress. And yes, there are things in our life that we just have to deal with and put up with, and they're stressful, and there's not a lot that can be done about that, the actual situation itself. But there are things that can be done to mitigate that stress. And so if you are in a place in life where things are stressful and there's not a lot you can do to change that, then you have to be making concerted, conscious efforts to mitigate that stress. These are things like breath work, meditation, exercise, eating well, drinking enough water. All of these things help to mitigate stressful events. And then there's the stress in our lives that we actually can control. We might not want to, but we have to. So this is the saying no to other people. This is the saying yes to yourself. These are the things like cutting toxic people out of our lives. These are the things like if you are having issues with a coworker at work, instead of just like taking it and doing nothing about it, coming up with solutions or how you can move through those relationship difficulties with your coworker. These are things like if there's things in your life that are difficult, you have to and are changeable. Like sometimes you got to pull up your big girl panties and do it. Okay. Because it matters to your health. It matters a lot to your health. If there was one thing that you could do to reverse aging today, start meditating. 10 minutes a day. Okay. This will take like a year, literally a year off of your biological life in just a couple months of doing it. So cortisol, this wonderful thing that helps with our circadian rhythms and plays a huge role in our lives. It's really important. It's really bad for us when our cortisol levels are elevated all of the time. And that's what stress does. So cortisol impacts your biological clock, your biological age, possibly more than any other factor. Okay. So we've got to get a handle on the stress. This is not a skill that is taught to us anywhere in the world, as far as I can tell. It's certainly not taught to us in schools. It's not taught to us in our homes because our parents weren't taught it. You have to actively go out and seek this skill of stress mitigation. And once again, I'll say it again, yes, it will reverse your biological age. Anything that you do for your health will help biological age. It will help lose weight. It'll help you get the energy back. And all of those things are going to impact your confidence. Life is just going to be better. So it all goes hand in hand. Exercise, of course, right? Exercise is so, so, so important. You need to be moving your body. I'm going to move my body right now because I'm uncomfortable in my chair. Been sitting for too long. There, move your body. Even like do little calf raises at your desk while you're sitting there. Go for a walk every day. So movement is so important for your biological age. It's more and more studies coming out on this one as well. What kind of movement is right? The best kind of exercise is the exercise that you will do consistently. That's the best exercise. So that's different for all of us. Okay. So whatever you are going to do consistently, that's what you should be doing for exercise. If you don't know what that is, then you need to start trying new things. If you don't like walking, fine, don't walk. But try going to the swimming pool. Try going and like doing an elliptical machine at the gym. Try doing strength training. Try doing a Tabata workout on your phone. You have to be moving your body. This seriously impacts biological age. I've been listening to a lot of stuff by Dr. Peter Attia. Kind of love him. My biological age exercise is so important. Ladies, start moving your body. This one is my favorite one. So physical touch. Physical touch impacts our gene expression. So, and this is from infancy to the day you die. Okay. So there's this wonderful chemical. There's a whole bunch of wonderful chemicals in our brain. But when we experience touch, pleasant touch, all sorts of these chemicals are released. So there's dopamine, there's serotonin, but the one I'm going to talk about today is oxytocin. So it's called the love hormone. This is the hormone that we release a lot of when we're new mothers. And so, you know, when you're holding your brand new baby and you just eat them, they're so cute. They just love them so much. This is actually oxytocin at play in your brain. And so physical contact release big bursts of this into our body. So as we age, our bodies produce less oxytocin, and it's really important for all sorts of functions in the body. So as we age, we actually have to cuddle more. As we age, we need to have more physical touch so we can maintain these levels of oxytocin that are so important for so many functions in our body. Lack of oxytocin has been linked to things like dementia, depression, hypertension, diabetes, muscle loss, which I keep saying this, right? As we get older, we have to maintain our muscle mass. It becomes harder to do. We have to work a little bit harder at it, but we need to do it. So one way you can help maintain that muscle mass is to have more cuddles with your kids, have a snog with your husband, you know, give your sister a hug, like whatever it is. It doesn't have to be romantic touch, but physical touch that brings you into contact in a pleasant way with another human being will reduce your biological age. Okay. So yeah, go hug a person today. I can't help you with that one. Sorry. I do all my work online. I can't come over and give you a hug. So those are a few of the sort of like the top ways of reducing your biological age. In essence, reversing the aging process. So, and it's all about epigenetics. It's so cool. I get super jazzed about the science. It's just so amazing to me that we can actually change our gene expression via diet, via sleep, via exercise, via having snuggles, via sleep, via stress, managing our stress levels. And all of these are so important, and you should be trying to work on all of them, whether you're 20 or whether you're 75. These need to be priorities for you, because when you prioritize these things, you're prioritizing yourself. And that's important. Okay. All of these things are interconnected and integral to one another. If you need help with your diet, with moving your body, with sleep, any of these things, type coach below what you need help with and what that might look like. Before I sign off, I'm just going to drive this home. I want to talk about a quick study. Of course, the study was done on men because anyway, this still pertains to women. So they took a bunch of men and two groups, and in one group, they made them eat a diet that was specifically for gene expression, for controlling gene expression in a good way. They had specific exercise instructions. They had to meditate. They had they worked on their sleep. They were taking a probiotic, I believe, and a greens powder. So these are the things they had. And then in the control group, they just did nothing, right? That's it. That's like something all of us could do any day, every day, all days, and we should be. And in just 8 weeks, the men reduced their biological age by an average of 3.25 years. In 8 weeks, they reduced their biological age by just over 3 years in 2 months. Can you imagine if you did this for an entire year? If you ate from the outside of the grocery store, if you moved your body every day, if you started working on your sleep and managing that, if you started managing your stress, if you started like 3 times a day, like consciously going and giving someone a hug or having a kiss with your husband, or, can you imagine? And these are things that are not hard, and they're actually things that can be quite pleasant in life. That's the wonderful thing about it. And it's going to reduce your age, and you're going to lose weight because you're doing it, and you're going to feel more energized, and you're going to feel more confident and better about yourself. Like, what? I'm trying to think of a reason not to do it. I can't think of one. I'm racking my brain. I can't think of one. So we just got to do it, right? We just have to prioritize ourselves and prioritize our health and reverse our age. Yay, reverse our age. Why not? If you need help doing any of this, because maybe you don't know where to start. You're like, that's a lot of things that you just listed that I should be working on. I don't even know where to start. Fair enough, because then it's overwhelming, right? It can feel overwhelming. And when you get overwhelmed, you feel paralyzed. Analysis paralysis. Maybe you're afraid you're going to do the wrong thing. You don't know what to do, right? We don't ever want to be wrong. It's a human thing. So whatever it is that's holding you back from living your best life and reversing your the aging process, and you lose weight and you feel confident and you feel great. So you have nothing to lose, really. So comment coach below if you're not sure where to get started. If it feels overwhelming, if you need some advice on what exactly you should be doing to bring these things into your life. And I'm so excited to hear how you guys all start reversing your age. And let me know in the community. Let me know the things that you've started doing. Let me know if you have questions. I love to hear the joy stories, I call them. So on that note, I am going to sign off. I hope you do some reverse aging activities.